Is it possible to make a Roblox game in 100 days with a bit of Lua experience and no Blender knowledge? I wrote 10,000 lines of code, spent weeks designing the UI, and ended up with a game that barely worked, but I didn't quit. I fixed it. Stick around to see the chaos, the lessons, and the final result of my 100-day journey. So here's how it all started. I had just finished my game, Dead Hungry Diner. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. The code was messy, I used 3 assets, and while it was fun to play, I couldn't shake the feeling that it could be so much better. At the same time, I was hooked on Pet Simulator games. I spent hours playing them, and then it hit me. What if I made one myself? A game where players collect pets and battle each other. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I thought I could do that. The big issue with Dead Hungry Diner was that I didn't really plan it out. I had a vague idea of what I wanted, but no roadmap to get there. And trust me, that led to a lot of headaches. This time, I wanted to do things differently. So I got serious. I picked up a book on game design, and it completely changed how I approached this project. I started sketching ideas on paper, breaking down the core mechanics of what would make the game fun and engaging. Even on paper, though, it was tough. How do you know if your game will actually be fun before you've even made it? I wrestled with questions like, what will keep players coming back? How do I make battles exciting? But I kept at it, trusting the process. I finally had something solid, a rough draft of what I wanted my game to be. I named it Pet Battlegrounds. The idea was simple. Players would collect pets, level them up, and then use them to battle other players in dynamic arenas. By the end of day 10, I had laid the foundation for my game. It was an ambitious idea, but I was ready to dive in and make it happen. How many Lua files do you think are in my game? Write your guess in the comments. If you're right, you might just win a prize. This phase was about answering a big question. Will this game be fun? For me, fun means collecting things without overthinking, and I wanted my game to feel simple, accessible, and enjoyable for everyone. When I made my first game, I noticed a few big problems. Players instinctively jumped around and ran in circles without much purpose. Nobody could figure out how to use the Roblox inventory system. A lack of a tutorial killed my game before it even started, and worst of all, my code had zero structure to it. It was a complete mess. This time, I was determined to do better. I wanted to take everything I learned from Dead Hungry Diner and make something that actually worked. My big idea, a game where you walk around, your pet follows you, and it shoots at things for you. Simple, right? So I started working on the pet system and projectile mechanics. Everything was going smoothly, or so I thought. I had pets on the screen, shooting projectiles. I could see progress, but then reality hit me. Players need to equip, unequip, and buy those pets. And that's where my nightmare began, designing the UI. Let me tell you, creating the UI for this game was harder than building the base mechanics. Maybe it's because of me, or maybe it's because of Roblox, but this part took more than 50% of my time. I remember sitting 3 weeks and asking myself, why is this taking so long? Aligning buttons, menus, and making sure everything worked wasn't just tedious, it was soul crushing. After almost 4 weeks of coding for 4 hours a day every single day, I finally had a working prototype. The UI wasn't pretty, but it was functional. Players could equip pets, buy new ones, and interact with the game's core mechanics. It felt like a huge step forward, and finally, I could move on from Lua to other parts of my game. By day 40, I was feeling pretty confident. Maybe I wasn't as terrible at Lua scripting as I thought, but oh how wrong I was. Stick around and you'll see why in a moment. I went from 0 to 100 with Blender in only 30 days. Geometry nodes changed the way I make maps forever. The very first map I made in Roblox was painful. Aligning everything felt clunky and fixing tiny details in the editor wasted so much time. I didn't want to go through that again, so this time I decided to create everything in Blender. I have to say, I was very confused at first. I didn't quite know how the importing process would work in the beginning or how my textures would go from Blender into Roblox, but I made it work. Basically, every model I made was a shot in the dark, and sometimes the textures would end up messed up. But even with this downside, Blender made so much more sense than doing anything in Roblox Studio. Here's the thing, making models isn't just about technical skill. It's about creativity, and let me tell you, I don't have much of that. I realized pretty quickly that if I just opened up Blender and started winging it, I'd end up staring at my screen for hours. So I went old school. Pen, paper, and sketches. Started drawing out my ideas first, which saved me from wasting hours on designs that didn't work. This is also where I hit my first major setback. How low poly is too low poly? My early attempts at map making were way too high poly and absolutely destroyed Roblox. The maps lagged, the loading times were awful, and everything ran so poorly that I had to start over. In total, I've made 7 maps for my game, but only 3 of them made it into the final version. I had to completely remake 3 maps because they were too complex, and then I missed my Halloween deadline, which hurt. But hey, at least the Christmas map turned out great. Despite all the setbacks, this part of the process was the most fun. Every time I added a new pet or finished a map and got to see it in Roblox, it felt amazing. Even though I still struggle with creativity and design, seeing everything come together was genuinely the highlight of this entire project. By day 70, I had my code, my pets, and my maps all worked perfectly, or so I thought. This is the part where I almost quit. When I started this journey, I was under the misconception that all I had to do was focus on my script and focus on my Roblox models. It's a big part of it, but there are some aspects of Roblox game development that left me scratching my head for weeks. I finally have some code that works and some nice looking models to boot. It's time to finally publish my game. I published my game and I start playing it only to realize that it's unplayable due to lag. That's right, 2 months of work and my game is completely unplayable. What happened? Even though I've remade my map to be low poly from 10 megabytes to less than 2 megabytes, my game is still lagging. The culprit? Roblox Physics Simulation. Every single object in Roblox Studio is a part of the Roblox Physics Simulation, which was taking out valuable resources from my players' computers. I had to manually configure the settings of all my pets and my map models in order to make the game playable. If I could redo this whole thing, I would actually make a far simpler game. At its current state, the problem is that I have way too much things happening in my game. From the pet movement to the enemy spawns to the bullets in the game. This is one thing that I still haven't been able to completely figure out how to manage in order to have a better experience for the people playing my games. After a lot of work, I've been able to iron out a lot of the issues the people playing my game were facing. The game is not perfect, but it's playable. Day 100, Junko's Auto Pets, finally complete. Greatly enjoyed making this game, and as you probably noticed, it's not quite what I originally had in mind. This isn't quite the idea I had in mind on day 10. At some point, things got out of hand and I started winging it. But you can argue that this is the fun of it. Some people that play the game might still experience issues. I do my best to update the game on a regular basis, but of course I made it alone in a relatively limited time frame. Overall, I'm not happy with how it turned out, but like I said, we're still not done. If you've watched this far, I need your help. If you could take the time to play the game yourself and give me some feedback, either in the comment section or the Discord server, it would mean the world to me. In addition, I'm currently holding a New Year's Discord Nitro giveaway in the game server, so if you want to participate in that, now is the best time to join. Thank you so much for watching this far, and I hope I'll see you next time. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe to this channel. There will be more to come.